I'll give you 35,000 a month, a year to start. I'm thinking 35,000 a year to start, man. I said, the police only started at like 21. He's offered me. I'm thinking this, he's offered me 35,000.
Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got this machine man, Paul Burrow, right?
That's good. That's good. That's close enough.
So how you doing, man?
Good. How are you? Yeah,
I'm doing really good, man.
Good.
I seen your story on Ambic. Shout out to Ambic.
Yep. Good guy. He's moving up.
Yeah, I've been on his show, and we have that in common.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you have an interesting story, and we're going to get into it. So you want to tell the people where you were born and raised?
Yeah, I was born in Baltimore, Maryland, and I was born on March 26, 1967. It was Easter Sunday. Hence why my parents called me Paul. So not that they were Catholic, they were Protestants, but they thought since I was born on that special day, they should name me something religious. So hence I got the name Paul. But raised there, went to school there and all, and all through school, honor student. My plans and during the school time went to be in law enforcement. So I kind of like geared my early years going to school, towards that, honor roll, police ride-alongs. But then you get older in school and all. When I got to like the 11th grade, it wasn't cool to be smart. I was a kid that everybody copied their test and paperwork and homework off of. So it wasn't cool. 11th and 12th grade, you're 15, 16, 17 years old. It's not cool to be a smart guy, so couldn't get any chicks. So I fumbled a little bit, graduated, and I'm thinking like, what I want to do. My main goal was in my 1985 high school yearbook. It states right there. Of course, I had a lot of hair back then. It said criminal justice degree, long life, lots of money, and hopefully FBI. I wrote that right in my 1985 yearbook. So I moved on with my plans. So after high school, I knew I couldn't get into the FBI or college right away because my grades weren't too great my 11th, 12th grade. So I went in the Army, but I qualified enough to get I got a job in the Army where I could turn that into like law enforcement. It was basically a gunsmithing job, and it came with a top secret security clearance. I'm like, hey, this is perfect. This is going to work out. This is going to help me move forward, working with weapons, knowing about weapons and all that, and having this top secret clearance, which is, hey, that's something you need to move up the ladder. So 4 years in there, came out. So immediately I'm like, I'm not ready for school right now. I got a job at a hotel, and I started applying for the police. So I figured, let me do the police route. I applied for Baltimore City, Baltimore County, Arundel County, state police. I applied for like all of them, like right out of the Army. And 2 of them, I was a lock in, but the deal was, it was like an 18-month wait. There's a hiring freeze. So I'm thinking, what am I going to do? Started going to school, started working at this hotel where I met my wife, and my future wife. So we're working, and when you start dating, everything your girlfriend or spouse wants to do, you do, that you're going through that process. So they had a fun every weekend. They had the function every weekend. Her family's very tight, and a lot of these functions were at this one house. This her brother-in-law's house. My future brother-in-law, my future boss. His house was like 7,500 square feet. Had a pool, water fountains. I mean, it was a mansion. To me, it was a mansion because we always rented. We always lived in apartments. Beat on the ceiling, shut up. Be quiet up there. So we go down there. So these 2 characters are always there. The whole family's there. It's Sonny, my future boss, future brother-in-law, and a family friend who was he walked my wife down the aisle when we got married. He was a local judge. He was a Baltimore County judge. He was out there 23 years. So at these parties, these guys kind of mingled. Then they went their own way. They went like on the side because they were always talking business. And they'd found out, they liked me. They started including me in conversations, asking about the military, what I want to do with my life. And they found out I wanted to be a cop and then a Fed. And my brother-in-law at the time, I knew he just bought a vending company like 2 years prior. And, you're thinking jukeboxes, pool tables, cigarette machines, but they also had, later on, as I got to know him, they had these things are called fast pieces. And these fast pieces, were poker machines, video poker machines. They weren't the slots, they weren't one-armed bandits, but they looked just like them. They're in cabinets, and they're still around, but not as prevalent as they used to be, because the states, they pretty much took over all the slots. They knocked these guys out. But so anyway, at these family functions, they started pulling me over and asking me questions and what I'm going to do with my life and this and that. And I told them, oh man, you got to be squeaky clean to be a Fed and all that. They knew that, they knew that. But then, Sonny was looking for. He just bought this company, and the guys in this business, he would always say it, were crooks. But unfortunately, you can't just hire somebody off the street. You don't put an ad in the paper saying, hey, I'm looking for a route man, or I'm looking for this, because you're worried about the feds or the police or the state, somebody trying to get into that business to see what you're doing, because it's all cash. It's all cash business. And these poker machines, we were running these poker machines under the guise of amusement only. We put them out there as like arcade games, but really they're gambling devices. Basically, racketeering is what we're doing. Yeah. So anyway, they're telling me, they're saying, well, hey, why don't you, try maybe come work for me or something. And how this worked out, he came to the hotel one day and checked in, and I knew this was coming, because like 3 months of these parties, it kept evolving about what he was doing, and they kept informing me more. And at one point they said, well, Phil's a judge out there in the county. When they're ready to hire you, in 18 months, he'll get you in like that. He knows it. And he did. He knew everybody. So they were sucking me into this business, because he wanted somebody he could trust, because the guys that work for him were there a long time. And like I said, you just don't hire somebody off the street. It's either family, somebody already in the business that you grew up with. It was organized crime, but like I said, it wasn't La Costa Nostra. It wasn't the Italians, but these guys were like tight-lipped. Like I learned real fast.
Did you think it was shady business? Were you having an inkling that it was?
Initially, I'm like, man, this guy makes a lot of money for, having cigarette machines and pool tables and jukeboxes. And then, I wasn't, totally in the dark. I was just listening to what he was saying. And he kind of, how he hired me one night, I was working at the hotel. He came in, he was checking in, he would stay there because he lived out of state, but he liked to stay at the hotel a few days a week because he had girlfriends. He had a wife and 2 young kids, but he used the fact that, I got to be in town, honey, for 3 or 4 days. And he had 3 or 4 girlfriends, as I found out that he was running around with. So he called me up the room one night when I got off work, and he was telling me at the business, and he was more in depth about the poker machines. I'm like, are they illegal and all, and he goes, well, I'll just have you moving equipment around. You run the cigarette route. You can help out here and there. And look, you're going to marry my sister-in-law. And see, they were 20 years older than my wife. She was like a baby when all her siblings moved out. So that was kind of like there's a difference in age and the time frame. They kind of didn't know each other, but they're siblings, because she was so young when they all moved out and got married. So I'm like, I don't know about this, because I want to get in the police department. He's telling me, well, we won't have you doing anything like that, and you'll help. My wife wants to help her sister out, and you'll be doing us a favor. Like one of those things. You'll be doing us a favor. You'll be making good money in the meantime. Then he opens his briefcase up, and there's 6 stacks of bundled money up in there. And he throws me a bundle of money, and I'm looking at him, holding it. He goes, what do you think of that? I said, that's a lot of money. It was like $5,000 bundled up and, taped with rubber bands. Yeah. I said, that's the most money I ever had in my hand at one time. And here I'm like 21 years old, just out of the Army. I was making barely $800 a month. I was making $250 a week at the hotel. I'm holding $5,000 in my hand.
Pretty intriguing.
I never have. And he said, he had a partner. This is $30,000. This is my half for the week. This was guys were raking in a week back in 1990. Like, oh, I don't. He goes, tell you what. He goes, I'll give you $35,000 a month, a year to start. I'm thinking $35,000 a year to start, man. I said, the police only started at like 21. He's offered me. I'm thinking this, he's offered me $35,000, and I said, all right, I'll give it a shot. And he's like, Phil will be there for you when when they call you up, he'll get you in there. Just give me 18 months, 2 years. You'll save money. You're doing me a big favor. You're helping me out. It's all big, helping each other out.
He's going to pay you up front.
Well, I give this $5,000 back to him, and he gives it back to me. He says, that's all your brother. That's a signing bonus. I'm like, you sure? You know, yeah, take it, brother. I said, all right. So I just, I took the money and I said, I'll see you Monday. So that's kind of how I started. And when I get down there, my first day on the job, like I start learning things slowly at first, but then you pick them up. So I go to the office and they have a cigarette guy runs a cigarette route because we had 110 stops where we had cigarette machines.
He stocks them.
The guy stocks. We had 110 stops. And this one dude, he'd go around stock all the cigarette machines. It took him a week. I mean, because we had so many stops. But we had about 55 to 60 bars and restaurants where we had the fast pieces, where we had poker machines and jukeboxes, pool tables, things like that. Some of the cigarette stops we didn't have machines because they're like banquet halls. They're banquet halls or a police VFW or something. We had them crazy. It was crazy, but we had some of these cigarette machines. So not every stop had a poker machine, but we had 110 stops, 55 to 60. We had the fast pieces in. And so the first thing I did, well, for 3 months, I'm getting paid 35 grand a year. All I did was rob people. And the reason was, I had to know, everybody had to see my face in that business because it's not like we don't wear shirts, bills, amusement. For a month, I run around with the cigarette guy. Every guy, he had to introduce me to everybody, every bar, every banquet hall. Hey, this is one of our guys. This is one of our guys. This is one of our guys. Okay. Then I ran around with a day mechanic for 2 or 3 weeks. He's going around fixing machines, like coin jam, bill jam, something that breaks down. You change a board, you change a bill acceptor, a monitor. I'm riding around with him. I'm meeting the bartenders, bar owners, and then I ride around with the night guy for a couple of weeks. He had a night mechanic too, because these things are 24/7, and meet this guy, meet that guy, and he always said, don't tell anybody what you do outside of our little group. I mean, my wife knew. She didn't know exactly, even to this day. I've been married 34 years. She didn't know 100% of the things I was doing. Even when I wrote a book a few years ago, she was like, "What did you never told me this? This is 30 years later." I'm like, "Well, I just thought about it, whatever." But everybody had to know me, had to know my face before I would, be on my own, going out there, collect the money eventually. So that's what it turned into. I'm moving equipment around, but then eventually I'm learning his route and I'm collecting money for him. I'm doing his route because he wanted to go out and play and do things. And he trusted me explicitly because he's like thinking like, man, if this guy wants to be a Fed, he's, this like, he's a Boy Scout.
The gold mine.
It's a gold mine,
Yeah.
And then all the guys that worked there, they all were jumpy. They were nervous as shit. Like, wait, who's this guy? Who's this guy? And they didn't know who the hell I was. And then eventually they found out it could be family. Oh, you're going to be my boss. You're going to run the place. I'm like,
so would a guy pick up money and he would collect it and you would pick it up from him, or would you pick it up from the machines?
No, what we would do is they had, all the bars, like him and his partner, they would split the account. So we'll say that we'll use the even number, 60 bars. Ira had 30 and Sonny had 30. I learned everybody's route. That I knew how to do the cigarette route, where all the accounts were. I knew how to basically fix things because he wanted me to know every single thing of that business because he wanted me running it. He wanted to be in the background, just, collecting his money, but he wanted me out there doing all, and I find out later you're doing all the stuff because, there's police and there's other things going on. And he wanted to be like kind of in the background. But how it works is like, if we're doing a collection, like if I'm doing his route, like each place, each bar, each restaurant, whatever nightclub we're dealing with, every deal was different. I mean, it might be a 50-50 split. It might be a 60-40 split. One guy might owe it. Well, a lot of guys owe this money. And the other way, backtrack a little bit, the other way, how, he said what they do is he's like, I'm like a bank. I'm like a banker. And what he meant by that was, somebody, this guy, Nick's selling his bar. These two bartenders are like, oh man, we can run this bar better than Nick, but they don't have any money. They go to a bank's like, get out of here. You guys are 21 years old. You don't have any credit. We're not lending you money to buy this bar. But Nick has poker machines in there and they do pretty good. So they go, we want to buy this place. So they come see us and say, hey, we want to buy Nick's bar. These two young guys. What does Nick want? So in the 90s, maybe it was 300 grand for the building, the liquor license, and the small little corner bar in East Baltimore. So we'd have to go check it out, go down there and look and see, do we think it's worth, the guy wants 25 cash up front, which these guys want to give Nick, and it'll pay him over time, over 10 years. But we want to make sure that we can make our money back,
Yeah.
But we want to make that 25 grand back in a year, but we're going to sign them for a 5-year vending contract. So, if we go in there, we think we can make 1,000 our end, or 1,500 or 2,000. Okay, we'll get 500 off their side every week. We'll get their note back pretty quick, and we got them 4 more years. So we always try to lock down these guys.
So it's a ridiculous amount like that they're paying when it all adds up.
It all adds up because there's intersecured and all, and they're basically, and if they fuck up, we would put liens on the liquor license, liens on the property. So we had guys that were partying too much, we're fucking around. And, I'd go in there, talk to them, try to straighten things out. If that didn't work, okay, we just boot them. We call the note and, all right, we want the 25 grand. Oh, we don't have it. But we're giving it to you every week. See you, hit the door. We throw them out. We put somebody else in there. So that was the kind of control that we had, that we could control who was in these bars, and, how we were making money and all. I mean, not every place, not every guy was a jerk or an idiot. We had a lot of places, business guys come in. We did the deal, did the collection. They might not owe us money. If they did, we took the money off, off their end, went about our merry way, and had no problems. But we had accounts where we had problems where guys would break into their own shit. We had to go down there and figure it out. Maybe threaten them. Maybe had to push them around a little bit and saying, I know you're doing it yourself. And they, oh no, I never did that to you guys.
Oh, some people would be stealing from the machines.
Oh yeah, we had this one. I'll give this one story. This one guy, it was a place called Nick's Bar, and me and Sonny are driving around. This is kind of early on, and we get a call over the radio. We had radios back then. We didn't have cell phones. We had pagers. We get a call by the secretary named Janice. She calls on the radio. We had a break in Nick's. And Sonny's like, Nick's, we're getting ready to go collect there. We had a break in last night. So we're thinking that's kind of ironic. Today's the most money is going to be in those machines today. And they got broken into last night. So we're immediately skeptical. So we go down there, we try to get open-minded, and machines are broken into. And we're like, yeah. He's like, oh man, they broke in the bathroom window, So I go back in the bathroom, and it's this window they got broken into, and okay, we're kind of thinking maybe it's an inside job. We're trying to give this guy the benefit of the doubt. All right, fix the window, do whatever. So we always take a law. So if he got broken into, there's meters in all these machines. We can tell exactly how much cash was in this machine.
Yeah.
There's like $2,000. Should have been in there. So okay, we give him $1,000. All right, we lost. Okay, board the window up. He's whole. So if he stole the money himself, he clipped us he took the $2 grand, 1,000. We just gave him 1,000, because that's kind of how we operate. We want to make it right if we can. So then a month later, same shit. We get a call on the radio. We got a break in.
The same bar.
Same place.
Oh, so they're getting used to it.
We're like, where? Nick's Bar. And Sonny's like, oh man, we know it's a fix. We know the fix is in right now. So we're driving down there. He's like, man, and this is when he started putting me in situations. He's like, man, you got to straighten this out. Now, mind you, it's his business. He's grooming me to do things. And I think at this point, I didn't carry a gun at this point. It was pretty close. It was soon after I started carrying a gun. So we go down there, and we go in there, and it's broken into. We see it was a couple $1,000 in there. And Sonny's like, oh, this is fucking ironic, Nick. Last month, you got broken into, and the day before collections, the most money's in there, and a month later, same shit, man. Does this guy your schedule? What's going on? Oh no.
The boss goes in with you, though.
He comes in with me, my boss Sonny.
Yeah.
And then he's pissed. He goes, you deal with this. I'm going outside. I'm like thinking what do you want me to? I'm thinking what do you want me to do? But I got to deal with it. So I go in there. Nick's showing me the bathroom. Same thing. They're coming through the transom and all this and that. Now I'm fucking pissed. And back then in the day, my wife would say you're crazy, because I had a real short fuse. And here, he's gonna be my brother-in-law, and he's fucking ripping him off. Basically, he's ripping me off.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the transom, and I said, Nick, I'm thinking this is a fucking inside job.